In 480 BC, the greatest army the world had ever seen marched into Greece. It stretched for miles. Hundreds of thousands of men. Infantry, cavalry, archers, the full weight of an empire. At its head stood Xerxes, ruler of Persia, determined to crush Greece once and for all. And waiting for him? A narrow mountain pass. And a few thousand Greek soldiers. Among them, just 300 Spartans. Led by their king, Leonidas. What followed became legend. Not because they won, but because they refused to yield. Persia had already tasted defeat in Greece. 10 years earlier, at Marathon, a smaller Persian force had been humiliated. Xerxes intended to erase that memory forever. This time, he came personally. His invasion force crossed bridges of boats over the Hellespont and rolled south like a tidal wave. The Greek city-states were divided, outnumbered, and terrified, but they knew one thing. If Persia reached southern Greece, it was over. So they chose to make their stand at Thermopylae, a narrow coastal pass where mountains crushed the road down to just a few meters wide. Numbers wouldn't matter there. Discipline would. Despite the legend, the Greeks didn't arrive alone. Around 7,000 men gathered at Thermopylae, Spartans, Thespians, the bands, and others. But the heart of the defense was Spartan. Sparta didn't fight for glory. They were raised for war. From childhood, Spartan boys were trained to endure pain, hunger, fear, and death. When warned that Persian arrows would blot out the sun, a Spartan reportedly replied, "Then we will fight in the shade." This wasn't bravado. It was belief. When Xerxes reached Thermopylae, he was stunned. A tiny force blocked his path. Surely they would flee once they understood who they faced. So he waited 4 days. He offered surrender. The reply from Leonidas was simple: "Come and take them." On the 5th day, Xerxes lost patience. He ordered the attack. Persian infantry surged into the pass. They were met by a solid wall of bronze. Greek shields locked together. Spears stabbed forward in brutal rhythm. The pass negated Persia's numbers. Men at the back couldn't fight. Men at the front died. Wave after wave broke against the Greek line. Even Xerxes' elite troops, the immortals, failed to break through. For 2 days, the Persians were slaughtered. The greatest army on earth was being held back by a bottleneck and sheer discipline. But Thermopylae had a weakness. A hidden mountain path. A local Greek named Ephialtes of Trachis betrayed its location to Xerxes. Under cover of night, Persian forces marched around the mountains. By dawn, the Greeks were surrounded. Leonidas understood immediately. This was the end. Leonidas dismissed most of the Greek army. They had families, cities to defend. He stayed. With him remained the 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians, and a small number of the bands. They knew they would not survive. The next morning, the Greeks advanced, leaving the safety of the pass. They fought until their spears shattered. Then with swords. Then with hands and teeth. Leonidas fell. The Spartans fought over his body until Persian arrows finally ended it. By midday, the pass was silent. Thermopylae was a Persian victory, but it came at a terrible cost. The delay allowed Greece to prepare. Weeks later, Persia's fleet was crushed at Salamis. The following year, their army was defeated at Plataea. Xerxes returned home in failure, and Thermopylae became immortal. A stone was raised over the fallen Spartans, bearing the words, "Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie." Thermopylae isn't remembered because of victory. It's remembered because of choice. Those men knew the outcome, and stood anyway, against fear, against inevitability, against empire. It remains one of history's most powerful reminders that courage isn't about winning. Sometimes, it's about refusing to kneel.